When it comes to a studio park, you'll often find one of two things. One in which you're immersed in the studio movie making aspect of a movie, and the other being immersed inside that movie. Revenge of the Mummy, though, fixed these issues, providing a ride that not only provided a perfect blend between the two, but also fixed other issues as well, like pacing. But how did Universal pull this off, and what strategies did they use to help make it a theme park masterpiece designed to stand the test of time? When it comes to the story of this ride, it's one of its most noticeable aspect, as it really does make sure that guests are aware of it, as well as provides that perfect blend between the two, as focusing on the Orlando version of the ride, and we'll get into the other versions down the road, the Orlando version takes guests into a museum, an area that fits perfectly within the New York section of the park. However, once you enter into that museum, you realize it was just a facade, and you are now on a studio set, really immersing yourselves into the studio making aspect of Revenge of the Mummy. In addition to this, to help transition into the more fully immersive area of the ride, guests eventually enter the sets themselves, fully immersing themselves into the sets in ways that also consist of a queue with several interactive and impressive areas to them. In addition to this, it is here when guests learn about the story of the Menjai and its symbol, a symbol that is worn either as a necklace or in someone's pocket to help protect them from the rumored curse. But as you'll see, this curse isn't just fiction, but real.
Are you insane? Get out of here! The curse is real! This whole place is a trap! He's after this soul! The Menjai's
Silence! With your souls!
From there, guests are chased into several impressive areas of the ride itself, as well as done beautifully in a way that helps pace the overall environment. The first of these areas was an overall shadowy-like temple area, in which you'll discover that the curse is indeed real, as Imhotep has captured one of the existing crew members, as well as is now in your presence, breaking out of his tomb and coming after you. This is then followed by another short temple hallway in which you'll find lighted up hieroglyphics to really help emphasize the power that Imhotep holds, as you'll see that he's more than just a curse, but holds real power. In addition to this, you really see some of the full extent of his power as you enter into a massive and awe-inspiring room that emphasizes the more treasure room of the temple itself. And this room is great for several reasons. The first of which is that it really provides that awe and wow factor of the ride and really gives this room a huge scale and sets up the overall feeling for the whole ride as a whole. In addition to this room does something that most rides do not, and this is that it stops the ride vehicle. This is done for several reasons. The first of which is that it allows a bigger show scene to play out, especially when it comes to a coaster, which is typically just a fast ride that goes through several scenes but is moving relatively quickly through them. This time though, Universal took the time to make it more of a hybrid between a dark ride and a coaster, allowing guests to really immerse themselves into the story, as well as giving Universal Creative the time to tell that story and really immerse guests into it. In addition to this break section of the ride not only allows for other vehicles on the track to clear the next break section for Universal to continue onward with the next set of guests, but also does so in a way that helps elongate the overall story of the ride without spending extra money on the track in a space that was already tight on space. Sometimes even the best rides though, while having a great story and overall pacing to it, can often feel underwhelming when it comes to its ultimate execution. And thankfully, Revenge of the Mummy does not disappoint, as well it does have a few screen-based moments to really showcase stuff that can only be done on a media-based format, especially back when it opened in 2004. The ride itself has a heavy portion of several practical and impressive effects, done so in a way to cleverly hide some of its next and upcoming scenes, but also allowing that wow and awe factor to the ride, including several effects that have yet to be done in several different rides today, with the effects inside Revenge of the Mummy being relatively rare and overall super impressive in its execution. As well, it does utilize some expensive effects like fire, and these can be impressive on their own rights, It's ultimately how this fire is executed and told so in a way to really wow and impact guests. For instance, in that treasure room, you see those skeletons pop up out of nowhere due to be cleverly hidden behind the Egyptian walls, and when they are finally revealed, you are hit with a blast of fire that interrupts in several periodic phases around you, as well as being splashed with little bits of water to really sell that impact that Imohet is attacking you. But how do we hide this scene from the next? And how does Universal do so in a way where it makes sense within the stories? Well, it's an Egyptian temple, so of course there's different rooms, but how Universal really helps hide it instead of just having more generic show doors that go and open and close before each other is a great way in storytelling, and I wish more rides would do this, providing its own unique aspect and incorporate it into the theming of the ride. As to get to the next section of the ride, which is done so in a way just behind a curve so you don't see what's exactly coming before you, you have a section of the wall that comes down as you're going through it to really help give you the impact that, oh no, we may not escape this temple, while at the same time closing this wall does a great way of farther dimming the overall lights and environments for the next room, which does rely heavily on several projected effects. As well, I did used to have some practical ones as well. Today, most of that area is screen-based. But even with it being screen-based, most of these screen-based areas are updated over time and in the same format as today's modern CGI, so it doesn't feel like that outdated stuff that you find over time. And thankfully, this is something that Universal does a great job at, with it happening to several of its other older iconic rides. In addition to this, while screen-based media is needed here to really help sell that immersion factor of Egyptian walls coming out with a bunch of insects, it was done so in a way in which the screen really immerse yourselves into it. Instead of just having one more obvious screen, Universal spent the time, money, and resources to build the 180-degree environment. Furthermore, after this section of the ride, guests are then sent backwards into another impressive screen-based media to it, which interacts with the ride vehicle as they see the story continue to play out as they turn alongside a turntable to help get them to going forwards once again, as well as really immersing guests into the ride. From here, guests are sent blasting off into what they think is the finale of the ride, with several screen and practical figures as well as numerous lighting effects to help sell the illusion as they're blasting off on a heavy roller coaster section of the ride itself, in which they're being attacked by the individual spirits of the Egyptians. Thankfully though, guests escape, or at least they think they did. You see, Universal does a great practical effect here within this next section of the ride, as here you unload a fake unloading boarding area, something that is rarely done in rides these days and is really wow and impressive factor for several reasons, as outside of this being a great fake illusion to the ride itself, it did so in a way to really help sell it overall, via a projected screen that gives the illusion that there is a ride operator in the room with you. But this was just an illusion, as then suddenly those glass panels break away via a quick timing movement of a physical screen that reveals the true animatronic hidden behind it of Imohet, as he is once again inside your presence, but this time in the physical animatronic form once again. And to further sell the overall effect of the room as you go and escape his curse once again, you'll find that the whole room lights up in flames, as Universal does a really impressive factor of having the ceiling catch on fire itself. From here, you're once again blasted off into the abyss as you come face to face with some of the other Egyptian spirits, as well as some other practical effects like smoke to really help sell a wow and impressive feeling of the ride, but also doing so in a way like the other roller coaster section to have most of it be in darkness, so you don't see the other sections of the roller coaster track, as well as make you think you're going farther and faster than you really are, helping provide one immersive and overall beautiful story inside of the ride show building that makes you forget that you are in Orlando, in a story format that could only be told due to this combination of dark ride, roller coaster, practical, and screen-based elements to really provide that wow and awe-inspiring ride. However, this story wasn't just built for Universal Orlando, as well it was initially designed for it. Its overall story and environment was done in a way which can be either cloned, as seen with Universal Studios Singapore, or built as a different modified version of the ride itself, as seen with Universal Studios Hollywood, which saw several different iterations of some of the more iconic scenes. And while it is an overall less impressive ride, in that format, it does still tell a lot of those same familiar story beats to provide that wow and awe-inspiring factor of the ride itself, as well as a great roller coaster addition to the park, which to this day doesn't really have any other ones, though that will soon change how they're getting a massive actual roller coaster instead of just a smaller version in the form of Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift, something that does shine a light into a new different type of offering that Universal Studios Hollywood has been craving to get, and do wonder the longevity of the Hollywood version of the attraction into that park, as after the roller coaster does open and Universal does have that other option. Given the amount of space that the ride takes up over in Hollywood, I could see the ride getting replaced there, as Universal continues to improve upon some of its more creative aspects of the ride and tell even better story ride experiences today, as they're giving more budget as well as the several vast resources of technology that continues to grow, evolve, and innovate. In this modified version of the ride, guests will learn about the curse being real via a screen, a format that was done so in a way in which it can drastically save on the cost as well as space of having that animatronic scene. As while it is a lot more impressive in its animatronic format, this is a great alternative to really help so tell and get guests into that same story beat, but doing so in a way that takes up less space. After this scene, guests are faced with another unique area of the ride, this time portraying several different iconic and individual skeletons and overall mummies that have come to life and reach out towards the guests. From here, guests are faced with a treasure room like they would have been in Orlando. However, this treasure room lacks a lot of those practical effects like the fire and overall environment to them, rather being just a different format with several smaller lighting effects, as well as that impressive screen-based moment of I'm a Het coming to life out of those Egyptian bricks. Thankfully though, Universal did still realize the importance of having those impressive practical effect moments of the ride experience itself, as during this next scene, before blasting off into the roller coaster aspect of the ride, guests will come face to face with an animatronic version of I'm a Het as he is placed above you. In addition to this, Universal also does impressive effects with the skeletons coming out of nowhere, but this time dropping them instead of having them spring up, as they go and attack you from the sides before you blast off into the roller coaster portion of the ride. This roller coaster portion is then broken up like it would have been in Orlando, except this time without having that big unload section of the ride experience, but this time using that familiar burrito-like scene to help break up the ride experience, stopping the vehicle momentarily before being sent backwards into that swirling section of the roller coaster. Unlike Orlando and Singapore's version though, that utilized that turntable thing surrounded by a 180-degree projection dome, Universal had to still get around with a way to bring guests back forwards into the ride experience, as well as doing so in a way to help provide that wow and impressive finale to it, as they wouldn't have that big unload section of the ride. And to do this, Universal utilized still a turntable section, but done so in a way with a lot of practical lighting effects, as well as having a screen portray some media to it, before I'm a Het is ultimately defeated, before the screen raises rapidly to reveal the end of the ride. Interestingly though, this was not the original intention for the ride itself, as when the ride initially debuted, and for a few years afterwards, it had some impressive moments to it, consisting of several fake fire and smoke effects to really help sell the illusion of being engulfed in flames before I'm Het once again loses. Unfortunately though, this was ultimately cut. While the exact reasons are unknown, it is likely due to a combination of budget cuts, as well as Universal wanting to provide a more consistent show experience. This wasn't just the only difference in the ride experience though, as it really helped make it blend in, as well as was the overall park and environment. Universal had designed a different entrance and facade for the roller coaster over at Hollywood's version, and unlike Orlando's, which was a museum of antiquities and antiques, Universal Hollywood went a more direct route of just having it be seen to a sound stage and guests deciding to enter the sets itself, instead of having that more impressive New York section of the ride experience, but done so in a way in which both rides can fit perfectly into the respective areas of the park. Speaking of these areas to the park, it doesn't necessarily need to be a studio's park, as while Universal Studios Singapore is vastly that, it was also designed in a way to have more of those immersive and interactive lands to them, with Revenge of the Mummy in Singapore being built in a whole mummy-themed land, with the facade of the ride being an entire temple. As well, the ride itself was very similar to Orlando, with just some minor changes, like the storyline being for finding his book to defeat Emma Head, as well as some slight variations and changes to just some of the show scenes. For the most part, this was a carbon copy to Orlando's version, but done so in a way to really help design it to fit more of those different demographics, as well as seeing it around the whole entire land itself. In the end, Revenge of the Mummy isn't just a coaster, but a beautiful blend and take into what Universal Creative can pull off if given the right tools and budgets, and how it can be adapted to provide that perfect blend between the story, different elements, and types of theme park attractions to make one thrilling adventure that guests make sure to remember.